computer. Let me put this up close so you can see it. All right. It's the end of my job. I'm purely talent.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right. So let's get this started. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I love this part.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Whatever It Takes podcast. Man, am I feeling good tonight? I am Rita Boom. I'm with my amazingly hilarious and amazingly anonymous co-host. What's your name tonight?
My name's Monica.
Monica. All right, we're going with Monica. Yeah. I like that. Very Friends-esque.
Thank you.
And let's bring the two people that we are. I'm very excited to announce the king and the queen of the prom. Yeah, like Billy Joel sings. We have John and JoJo, two great pioneers in recovery, and I proud to call them friends. And JoJo's my sponsor, and I mean that should just sum it up right there. But yeah, they were nice enough to come up on the podcast, and they want to share. They really do. They've been in recovery for so long. They send a great message. They surround themselves with the right type of people, and it shows. And they're what the program has given them, people want, including myself. And we want to hear a little bit about that and how they got to this point. And so welcome, guys. How you feeling tonight?
Welcome.
I mean, even still, if I may speak out of turn, they've been going on dating tonight, guys. Like after they get done doing this, they're Calabasas.
You know how much show me the person that has the most recovery in the room, and I'll show you the person that got up the earliest today.
Yeah, you guys get up early. You guys get up early.
Was not me. How early do you get up?
Well, we get up early, but the point is that recovery doesn't matter how much you have and what you've done in the past. It's all about today. So it's the one that got up the earliest has the most recovery today, right?
And I had a picture too from when you guys first came into recovery, and I will put it in here as a before and after type thing. Whenever I feel soothing in the middle of the interview,
they're totally
during the editing process.
Backwards. They're totally
you know what? It's really a cool thing. When it's talked about when people walk into recovery if we were able to take a picture when they walked into a room of recovery on the first day and then show it to them after they have some time in program, get 30, 60, 90 days, a year in program, and then take a picture of them and show it. It's almost like those mug shots, the before and afters that you see.
Definitely.
That's what it would look like.
Yeah.
People with addiction.
I don't think I raised my head or opened my eyes for a good 30 days, at least.
I stopped crying.
I cried all the time. No.
Right. No. I had a lot to say, but I was blubbering it through it. You know what I mean? I was just happy there was people listening. But so tell us how it started. How did this begin? I mean,
this happened.
How did this? Yeah.
Who wanted recovery first?
Yeah, who wanted recovery first? Who was the trendsetter? Who's the one who got the ball rolling and realized, hey, there's a problem here. I need recovery, and then where it went from there. Or did you both come in together at the same time? I mean,
we did not actually. We have the same date. I claim June 3rd, 2003, and
I'm June 3rd, 2006. 3 years to the day.
Wow.
I see. There's a story there.
Did you both gamble at the same time? And JoJo, you just said, "Yeah, I've got to get some help," and you were like, "No, I'm fine."
Well, it was a little bit more than I got to get some help. I was committing felonies, and yes, we did gamble at the same time. But I was stealing from the local PTA that I was part of. I was the president of, and we did gamble at the time, and we did on occasion tip into the money from the PTA, the cash. But when we did that together, we always put it back. And what I was doing on the sidelines is I was part of back in the day, they had checkbooks and you had to have two people sign the checks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was one of the signatures, and I had a teacher and a principal that were the other signature, and I would practice their signature until I got it right. And I had gotten one of them pretty much spot on. And so at that point, I would start what I would call was borrowing the money.
Yep.
Borrowing is a great term for someone like me. That's how I can live with myself. It also means that someone is involved in the transaction on the other side, like they're aware of it. And there's an agreement. And instead, so I took stealing and called it borrowing, and left that out of the picture for John. I didn't share that part with him.
Oh.
And then a new principal came into school, and I had been doing this for a while and having 7 fundraisers a year. You know how long school is? It's like 9 months, right?
7?
Think about your kids bringing home anywhere from 5 to 7 fundraisers.
Gee, you did a lot of fundraising. Wow.
Yeah, and the school didn't benefit very much, a little bit, and they were a school that didn't get a lot of benefits prior to this. So anything they got, they were very grateful for. And then this new principal came in, and she was kind of curious as to how only one parent had access to the books, and had I ever been audited. And she didn't find out. I got so ridden with guilt that I came to John and I told him a small portion of the story. And when I went to the principal of the school, the new principal, to tell her what was going on, with my husband sitting next to me, saying, you know, I'm really, and I have and I'm telling her I have a problem. I'm gonna go get help. I have a problem. We're gonna pay you back. But and they were like, well, you better get yourself a criminal attorney, because we're going to have you arrested, and you're going to, like, you can't do this. This is illegal. And I was like, no, don't you know who I am? I'm really a good person. I was just borrowing the money. I'm going to pay back.
Yeah.
Right.
And my husband was sitting next to me, supporting me, and he had given me a life that I really wanted. You know, I had worked all these jobs before I had met him. I was a single mom, and he took on 2 very young children and me as though it was like no big deal, you know, and said, don't even work and just stay at home. And so he was like, I'll pay back the money. And back then, that's really what they wanted. So by the time it had come to almost 2 years of me not gambling, and
did you get arrested though? Did they
Did they ever go through with it?
It's really cool, because I was able to find a criminal attorney thanks to the rooms of a program. I was able to find a criminal attorney and know what to do. And they had scheduled something called a walkthrough. And that's something where you go to, where they don't actually come to your home and arrest you in front of your children and put your hands behind your back.
Yeah.
And you voluntarily go in, they take the mugshot, they do the fingerprints, and you get arrested, and you don't have to spend the 24 hours in jail after you get arrested. You walk through.
Okay.
I want one of those.
You know, I was really
situation.
I was really very excited to have one of those, and it never even came to fruition. I can't describe why or how, but whatever was the appointment never came to fruition. I didn't end up doing it. And almost 2 years into not gambling, so June 3rd coming in, going to the school prior to that, and getting a criminal attorney, and then being told by a judge, you need to go to meetings, you need to go get some help, and that's what you needed to do. And so I seeked out a program that was in my area that could help me with my gambling.
Good.
And
were you already going? Because you said you found a lawyer through the program.
Not until the judge told her.
Well, yeah, but I went to the program very shortly after I told the school, didn't know what to do, called the lawyer, wasn't sure what to do. What they told me actually in the first meeting that I went to was, had I come there first, I would have gotten the lawyer already, and then they would have set me up for success.
That's right. You need to go through it. You need to go through it.
My own best thinking that was earning me the seat in there. So
who would know that?
Man, I did something once, and I tried to hide it, handle it myself, and I didn't get involved my father until one day the guys at the Firehouse Tavern were like, "Why is your daughter in the paper?" And he's like, "Hey, did you want to tell me something?" I was like, and he had a lawyer for me right away. I mean, he did the dad thing, but I was like, he's like, "Why didn't you just tell me?" I was like, I wanted to handle it on my own, But anyway, so go on. So yeah.
So basically, the case went on, the trial went on for up until May of 2005. So still before John's date coming in, and miraculously, and I had stayed in program this entire time, was giving back service. I was chairing meetings, secretarying meetings. I was actually in about a month, I would start being our like a part of a more of a exclusive group, and take even higher service areas. It really became a way of life for me, a walk for me.
You really jumped in.
I did. sitting next to me on the day when I received what was going to be probation and a misdemeanor, everything knocked down to a misdemeanor, amazing, right? And was a woman that I was sponsoring in that program. And she sat next to, and the really cool thing is I still sponsor her. In fact, she'll have 20 years next month.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Nice. That's awesome.
But she
Wow.
sat next to me. And John did pay the money back to the county of Clark in the state of Nevada. And he was able to. And I had asked somebody in that program to sponsor me. And she told me, well, you got to pay John back. And I was like, no. We're like married. It's one pot, all the same money. And she goes, no.
Nice try.
None of that.
Money didn't come from the one pot. You need to pay him back.
That's still that addictive brain was still like
hard work emotionally and some hard work physically during that time too, to go back and do that. So, but this still before the time that he came in. And then I always like for him to tell his story, how he came in, because it was a year and a month after that he came in.
So you were still gambling, John? You were still like going out and...
Well, not that anybody knew it because I was keeping it really under wraps.
Gotcha.
I was a closet gambler. I made a promise
Me too.
after I saw the legal problems that JoJo had. I said, listen, I promise I'm not going to gamble. And so I could not let the big secret out. And part of the reason why I was paying that restitution was because it was guilt motivated. I was guilty for all the lies, the deception, the lying, still gambling, seeing that she could have gone to prison and I'm still gambling out there. Feeling somewhat responsible that, geez, if it wasn't for me taking her out and gambling, she would have never known how to gamble. That's what I was thinking. Of course, ego was big, self-esteem was low. So, I had to keep the big secret, and I would try to stop gambling. I would try to stop. I would, thought self-will and discipline and going to meetings as a guest. I was considered a compulsive guest. I thought I could stop gambling, as a guest. I'd get the message, and I just could not stay stopped. And it wasn't until June 2nd of 2006 where I was out golfing that day, and for the first time ever, my passion was golf. I stopped during the golf game to go gamble, and that made me realize that, wow, this thing is really just out of control. I was supposed to go to a meeting with JoJo that night, and I was late. She was calling, and I'm not picking up the phone. I'm not gambling. I'm behind the scenes. And so I get home, and she is rip-roaring pissed. And because I was late, she couldn't get a hold of me. She goes, don't go to the meeting. Stay home. So she went to the meeting. I'm sitting there. I'm going, what do I do? Do I go to the meeting? Do I not? So I said, okay, I'm going to go to the meeting. I walked in that door, and if looks could kill, I would have.
This was a live meeting back then.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, live meeting. Right.
I go sit down on the other side of the room, and I have a member that put a book in front of me, and I said, no, I'm just a guest. So I still wasn't ready to say anything. After that meeting, I don't know what clicked, but after that meeting, I felt I had to share with her what was going on. So I went to the parking lot.
Brave man.
She's in the big Ford Expedition. I go up to the window and I said, I said, babe, the demons are loose. She goes, what does that mean? I said, the demons are loose. She goes, I don't know what that means. I said, I'm a compulsive gambler. And when I said that, trust me, I felt a lot better. The weight was released. Now I could tell she was pissed. She was upset. She could have ran me over in the parking lot, and had every right to do so.
10 toes.
She wasn't happy.
So here.
That's all 10.
Yeah.
All 10. Permanent. Okay, great.
Yeah, totally.
Took off home, and I'm thinking, all right, everything's going to be thrown out the door. I'm going to have all my stuff.
Your shit's on fire.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's on fire. But she did something that probably saved our marriage. Was she called her sponsor. And I'll let her tell her exactly
That's awesome.
that her sponsor shared with her that night that really was a game changer, was a life changer.
And it was, this is it's like a simple life to live like this, but I'm very complicated, and she kept it very simple to me. So she let me complicate it and rant and rave like, what hasn't he heard? I'm going to don't let the door hit his ass on the way out, sort of thing. I'm going to throw his shit out the window.
Mhm.
And then she asked me if I was done, so that she let me have my time to feel my feelings. And then she asked me a question that was so incredibly important. And I never saw that side of it. And she said, what would you say to any other person that came to you and said that they were a compulsive gambler?
Yeah.
How would you treat them? Would you say,
Mm.
what's wrong with you? What haven't you been listening to? Or you would say, get to a meeting. Let me love you until you can love yourself. And why don't you try putting on, a hat of a recovering woman before you put on the hat of your wife, or even of your mother, or even of a mother or a daughter or a sister or a friend. Why don't you put on the hat of recovery first? And she was so, and I was really mad at her when she said that to me, because I wanted her to say, yeah, let me help you bury the body. Even like almost 3 years in program, because my best thinking, so she really helped realign me back into a way of thinking in recovery. And it was just like that. It was so simple for her to see it. And that's why it's so important to have that other observation, that other person that has some more experience and some more strength and some more hope that you have allowed into your, because the first thought was to call her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. That's great.
That was my first thought, was to call. This is like when it hits the fan, I have now been like reprogramming my brain to reach out when something happens. And this was major. And I knew when something major happened to reach out. And so how cool, that was my first thought, but how cool also that she was there.
That is.
And she had a solution for me. I didn't like it, but it was a simple solution.
Hey, we say recovery has to come first, and that's a prime example. Recovery coming first.
I mean, when you look back and think about it now, that was exactly what had to be.
That's the advice you would give if she was on one of your sponsees' foots. You know what I mean? How many times have I called you in a panic? You know what I mean? Jesus, she's on speed dial. Of course, you know what I mean? And it's just the right thing to say. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better sponsor. I'm not just saying that either. Like, you and I I always say my sponsor and I are on a different bonding level of recovery than Monica, or anybody, you know what I mean? And John,
I know. I'm the same way. My sponsor is like my brother to me. I adore him. Just really. Do you have the same sponsor, JoJo, after all this time?
No, actually, years ago, before there was what we're doing right now in Zoom and this different sort of a portal with podcasts and social media, everything was in person. So when she was ready to retire and move with the husband that she was totally in love with, and was able to have a beautiful, like, she really mirrored for me everything that I wanted. She had a beautiful, loving relationship. She enjoyed her job. She laughed regularly. She was just crafty. She taught me how to be crafty. She had all those things, and she was ready to retire. And they wanted to move to Florida for years. And so they did. They packed up their house in Las Vegas and moved to Florida. And then I got a new sponsor because, when I was young in the program, the common thing, any recovery program, no matter where you look at it, if you have a good idea, you should probably call your sponsor. If you have a great idea, you should probably meet for coffee, because again, best thinking, right? Still. So I got another sponsor, and then I moved in 2014, still prior to this portal that we're using right now, or so in this regards. And so I got another, so I have a third sponsor who is my sponsor. She also happens to be married to someone who is a compulsive gambler practicing recovery. We have very much in common, even though on the outside, if you were to look at us, you would think that we were two totally different people. That's what's so cool, is that the one common denominator of addiction, and then you find all the other things. Like, she has all the things that I want still: a loving marriage. She loves her job. She loves her child. She loves her parent. She loves her grandchild. They all love her. And she is present and active in all of those spaces and in recovery.
And did they help you guys kind of like navigate how to work? Because I see so many couples come in and like, they'll do the joining names or they attend the meetings together and they're around for a little bit and then you never see them again. But like you guys you figured, you took, obviously you turned to people because you know how to turn to people in recovery that gave you guidelines and you guys followed it and it works just for today. Yeah,
There were some long timers in program. My first sponsor also gave some great suggestions, but the long timers in program back then gave us a few really wonderful suggestions that have worked for us for a long time. And the first one was get to as many meetings and put that as a priority as possible, but only go to one meeting a week together. If possible, you don't even need to sit next to each other.
Right. Yeah.
And told you not to share right after me or vice versa. Yeah.
Yep.
Juicy.
Well, I know this might sound stupid, but I kind of wish my husband was a compulsive gambler so he could get involved. He's absolutely just, not involved at all. And I've given him many opportunities, open meetings, stuff like this, and he's just not interested.
Red Gammon
kind of hurts my feelings. No, he has no problems ever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, here's, I'm a true believer that sick finds sick, and, gambling is not, it's a symptom of something deeper, right? So when JoJo got on the path of recovery and I saw the changes, I mean, here I'm causing some serious damage and lying and I see the change in her. I see spirituality. I see the friends that she's hanging out with and everything's changing about her.
Oh.
And if I didn't finally come to admit that I was powerless, I don't think the relationship would have lasted. It couldn't,
Right.
She was growing.
Right. She would have kept growing and I would have been stagnant and still in disease and making decisions from disease and fear and low self-esteem. And so, getting healthy together is important, but we're both on a separate path because we can't be on the same path because, being in recovery together, the last thing you want to hear from your spouse is, get to a meeting. Have you talked to your sponsor? Which your spouse, your spouse knows, if you're off a little bit. So it's just, we had to give our own space to grow. And it has enhanced the marriage when you have two people in recovery. It does make a difference. It's work. I mean, any relationship, whether you're a 12-step program or not, is work, but it's different.
You've got 25 years coming up. Something's going right. That's really good.
I can say this and I couldn't say this all along, but I can tell you that with the 25 years of marriage is beautiful because to be able to do something like that for any length of time is really not the easiest. But within the years of recovery, which are less than that, I can say that today I look at him and if I wasn't married to him, he would have all the qualities of someone I'd want to be married to.
Yeah.
If my children weren't my children, I would choose them to be my friends. This is what recovery has given to me. And now he's made great drastic changes, but my children maybe not necessarily. They're not in a program or anything, but the outlook and the way that taking care of me first, and that's not in a selfish way. I hear people, I just heard it recently, this is a selfish program. No, self-caring. When you get on a plane, they say put your oxygen mask on first before attempt to help anyone else. And that's what this is. That's what he's talking about is me putting on my oxygen mask, him putting on his oxygen mask. We're on the same plane. Our destination is the same. Our outlook is the same. We look in the same direction. But he gets to 100% wholeheartedly be him, and I get to, well, maybe not 100% because we're not perfect. He gets to about 95% wholeheartedly be him, and I get to be about the same because we still have, we're still
Works in
married.
progress, right? It always works in progress.
So look, he's coming down to teach me something. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, the cats need attention.
Well, I think it's beautiful.
it is really a privilege to live with someone that has what you want, that I see daily, the way he approaches his business, his friends, his family, his recovery, his sponsees. So I get to actually watch somebody in their walk all the time.
That's really cool.
It matches his talk, and that's an amazing thing.
Now, how about anybody ever try to pull a 13 step on either of you two and get like
any of that?
There's some sick people in these rooms.
Not like that, but until they find out that we're married, we sit across from each other. We only go to one meeting a week together. We don't show up to meetings together. It's interesting when we show up and people still sometimes don't know
the boundaries, right?
That we're married. Like seen us kiss after a meeting and come up to me and say, that man is trying to 13th step you. And I'll be like, well, I certainly hope so.
Yeah. That's what I kind of signed the deal for, Yeah. I mean, I attend the meeting that you guys go to together, and you always end it. Yes, I assume you mean like you're separate the whole time, which is cool. JoJo showing off the beach and that. But at the end, it's a nice like coming together and like good night,
really?
That's
cool.
It's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's pretty clear. But
awesome.
But you always say something too that I got to get you to say, just because it's the one about if you give 50 grand to an alcoholic, you know what I'm talking about, right? How's it go? I remember JoJo saying it before.
Yeah,
but you tell it better, John.
It's true. I mean, if you give 50 grand to an alcoholic, they'll chances are drink themselves to death. You give 50 grand to a drug addict, chances are they're going to overdose and die. And you give 50 grand to a compulsive gambler, they'll come back 30 minutes later looking for more money.
So true.
See, I always say the next day. I give it too much credit.
It's a different disease.
You gotta remember, we grew up in this disease.
Do you ever feel embarrassed by this, that you are a compulsive gambler? Or I mean,
in business or anything? With you guys,
you're probably pretty out about it, like
I'm
your
really
family
not.
knows, yeah.
I'm really not. I'm in the business community. I always say if I go into a room, I can talk three things very good: business, sports, and recovery. If I those are my sweet spots. But and anybody, no, I don't preach, and I have some people that I do in my inner circle that I do business with. They let people know that they're in a 12-step program, but I don't put it out there per se. But anybody who's been with me in any type of business dealings will recognize the way I talk comes from a 12-step basis. So you go to my sales meetings, I can tell you they're based on spiritual principles. We've built a business on spiritual principles. I call them universal principles in front of other people because, I don't want to, it is what it is. But I'm just saying that it's anybody who listens into a sales meeting, they'll know. Is he in a 12-step program? Sounds like he's in a 12-step program because it's pretty much out. That's who I am. And I surround myself with people in a 12-step program. They tell people don't do business and don't do any business other than GA business. Don't lend money to or borrow money from. I get that. I understand why it's in place, but I can assure you, my business partner in 19 years is in a 12-step program. The guy that does my plumbing is in a 12-step program. A guy I bought my car from is in a 12-step program. I choose to do business with people that are in recovery because I feel a certain bond, a trust, and that's who I want to do business with. But I understand why it's in the book, and there's a reason for it,
Right.
But
there's a reason for it.
I choose to do business with people in a 12-step
I don't know anybody. I know one person in recovery. I do not know any gamblers around here. It's not legal in my state. There's just,
Wow.
they
Mm.
really don't even believe
There's so many.
addiction. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's an uphill. That's why I remain anonymous, because I'm in the community too, and that's just nope.
Yeah, it'd be a different take.
It is a different animal too when you're in the same area going to in-person meetings as
Right.
to what is exposed now. We
Mhm.
meet people from all over the place. It's hard to know who's from your area or not. If I go to my local home meeting that is a few miles from my house,
Right.
those people are in my area. If I see them in the same room, guess what? They're in the same room as me. So
Huh?
then in that space, it's okay. And there is a space where what's said in there can stay in there. That's not always true. It's just like the 13 stepping that you were talking about. It's not always true. And there's a there's a series of ways that you can determine whether or not you're a compulsive gambler. And one of them is through a series of questions
Right.
through a 12-step program that's out there for compulsive gamblers. And one of them is, did gambling affect your reputation? So the answer to that is yes, because that question is posed in the past. Did gambling affect your reputation? Yes, it did.
Right.
Today, for me to expose that I am a compulsive gambler in recovery does not, for me, I believe, affect my reputation. I believe that my walk when I was a compulsive gambler looked of a liar and a cheat and a thief, and that affected my that's what affects that. That's how people see me. So today, if I walk in a way that is kind and generous and loving and humble with my oxygen mask on first, that also says who I am. So if I say that I'm a compulsive gambler, but I am showing up in life as the opposite of what people would see, I don't think that it affects my reputation today to say it. But yes, I have no hope for a better past. It has certainly affected my children went to the school that I stole the money from.
Yeah.
They had to go to a different school the next year because their mother was a thief at that school. It certainly affected my reputation. The first lawyer I called said, "Ooh, this is a very sexy story. You could make it to the news." What?
Oh, God,
I hung up the phone so fast. That was not my lawyer. That was not the criminal attorney I chose.
No.
No.
So, yeah, so I don't
got
like
these.
yeah, I'm talking about it today. Sometimes it comes up as quickly as, there's an old, I'm a bartender from a long time ago, and they say a CrossFitter, an atheist, and a vegan sit at my bar. Do you know how I know? They all told me in the first 5 minutes. And so it doesn't always come up in conversation like that, but there are times that it just comes up in conversation, even in an early conversation of knowing people. So I'm pretty open about it today, and John is not.
But I think it works for you because you're involved in. I met you. You were on the board of RRO, and you sponsor numerous people, and I've come and visited with you, and it's recovery. It's great. It's awesome. It's like my little recovery retreat, once a year. You know what I mean? But and I know other people who have benefited from just being around you guys, and I think you're doing exactly what and I think you're both doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. What you're supposed to be doing, you know what I mean? Because you're both very successful at it.
It's so cool. JoJo, you always sign off with, "I love you and there's nothing you can do about it." I love that. Did you just come to you?
I think I know the story. Go ahead.
This is a perfect example of, if you like something that I say in this program and it helps you, I promise you it wasn't mine originally. This is a program of giving it away to keep it. So many years ago, I was busy in recovery, giving back service on an international and national level, and we were at a conference, and they have something at most conferences for 12-step programs that is called a 24-hour room. And in that room, for all day long for 24/7 during the whole weekend of the conference is basically an open meeting room. And you just show up and you share. And if there's no one there, you wait for someone to come, or if people are there, you just share and you leave, come and go as you want.
Ooh.
And there was this little sweet lady from the South. I mean, she was little, like I'm 5 foot tall, and I think that she came up to about my chin.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
The circle, and she said, you know, I just love y'all, and there's just not a damn thing you can do about it. Oh gosh, I love. And so I went over to her and I said, can I use that? And she said, for sure, honey. You just give me credit 3 times, and then it becomes yours. So everyone thinks it's mine, but people, as JoJo says, I wish I could remember her name. It was so long ago, but
oh, that's so sweet.
that program has passed on to me.
Yeah.
I pass on when I am around like-minded people.
Yeah.
I learned, I also say, probably within the last years, I say, have a great day on purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that too.
I like that too.
Yeah.
And that was something I also heard from another addict who shared, because you know what he said to me afterwards, and you'll sometimes hear me say this, he'll say, make it a great day on purpose. And I
Mhm.
say, yeah, that's great. He goes, yeah, because the alternative sucks.
Yeah, right. I mean, I give you one line you say to me all the time is why are we fighting a battle that we haven't even started yet? You know, it's so many, and I use it and I think it before I even call you. Sometimes I'm like, why are we fighting a battle that we haven't even started yet? I'm like, yeah, right. You know, but
My sponsor calls me. I'm like, he's like, ready for a quick phone call? I'm like, what? He goes, you're not in trouble. That's I always get.
well,
I know.
Funny.
guys, this has been great, and I have some exciting news to bring to the table here. I think that you guys would all appreciate it. But I have completed another certification. That's 3
Look
certifications
at her
under my belt.
go.
So next one is nationals. So that'll help, and we put we've submitted to the Secretary of State of New Jersey our nonprofit idea, board, and that'll help get in the nationals. And I got a meeting with a guy about a scholarship for it. So
Thing.
yeah, so definitely working this program a lot differently this time around, and it's I like it. I'm happy. I'll keep coming back.
You very well.
Plus, I'm not gonna waste. I'm like, she's a great sponsor, and I know I'm lucky to have her. I know a lot of people would like to have her and have told no. So I don't. Besides wasting my time or my life,
Is it hard to tell people no? I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, it is hard for me, but
sucks for them.
after
I don't know if that's in JoJo's vocabulary when somebody asks her to sponsor her.
I don't tell people no when they ask me.
my sponsor doesn't either, but
Well, yeah.
I let them know we'll try it. So I let them know up front. I sponsor a lot of women. My husband is on the phone most days for business. I'm on the phone probably equal amount of times with the women that I sponsor because there are so many. And so I start my days with a AirPod in one ear, so when it's not, put the other one in the other ear, so I can keep going throughout my day. So what I let the women know, and I do only sponsor women.
mm-hmm.
I do mentor and have a lot of brothers and men friends in this program. And I have 2 in my front row, including my husband. But I have a lot of excellent friends in this program that I talk with frequently and share with frequently, but do not sponsor men. I'm always happy to lend a observation from the woman's standpoint. But as far as the women go, when they ask me, I say, yes, a sponsor's job is really, when you're dealing with a 12-step program, is to guide you through the rough spots and to take you through the 12 steps of recovery. Guide you through the rough spots are the conversations and the talking that we do. Taking you through the 12 steps of recovery, I give you a blueprint, and then you do the work. I do not do the work for you.
Right.
So that is really the main meat and potatoes. And then the sponsor, I'll tell people to get that front row and that core 4, because I might not always be available. And then you have somebody else to go to. And then I give it everyone gives it on a 30-day trial basis, not for me.
For them.
I'm not going to tell them no, because I always believe that I'm right where I'm supposed to be, receiving what I'm supposed to receive from the universe. And I'm never going to be overwhelmed. If I am, then I'll go to my sponsor and get some suggestions, probably not to sponsor anybody else, but that hasn't been the case. And at the end of 30 days, I let them make a decision. I thought you would have more time. You really don't. You told me that in the beginning. And one of the first things I'm sure Rita.
Oh, yeah. You're
that
upfront right from the get-go.
I tell you right in the beginning, I'm going to disappoint you. Please do not put me on a pedestal. I will disappoint you. It might even be in this 30-day trial period. I will never set out intentionally go, hey, Rita, I'm going to disappoint you today. But it might happen. And then at the end of 30 days, you decide, I thought you'd be more strict. You're too strict. I really don't want to do it your way. I've been talking to somebody else and it's going to work better, or yes, this works for me. And then it's just a 1 day at a time program all the way through.
Yeah. Okay.
So no, I did not say no. When people say I asked you to be my sponsor, and I think, where was I? Was I having an out of body experience when that happened? This doesn't sound like me, but I guess it was, or that was their experience.
But bring out the confidence in a lot of women, and she puts it right out there. Here's what you get, and if I needed a certain type of sponsor that wasn't like JoJo, I'd find it. But instead, when she's not available, it's taught me to use my phone list. It's taught me to make friends like I have in the program, and when she knows I need her, she makes time. It's simple as that, and I always leave satisfied.
That's very
I hope you get the same out of this being as me as your sponsee. You know what I mean?
Now I feel, that's why I never say no, because the growth from having a sponsee is so much greater than the growth of being a sponsor. In my, I don't know. I can only speak from the space of where I'm at and having sponsees. I don't know what it's like to have me as a sponsee, but if it is like that, I can understand when your sponsor says I grow more from the sponsee and from the conversations that we have, because ultimately it's always the conversation I'm meant to have as well.
Yeah, I get it.
And the other thing that's really important, you just tapped on it, is, and I tell my sponsees this all the time, and I say it in rooms, especially talking about sponsors, not only ways to find them, but if you don't, and I tell my own sponsees this, if you don't have the best sponsor ever, get another one.
Right.
I'm still a sister, but get another one. This isn't marriage. I'm not going to, they divorced.
You're my second sponsor. Yeah. I had one before. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say no anymore then, because I appreciate that it's an opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
Just have to make more time. But I'm learning from everybody, and probably at a year in, my sponsor, because we didn't have enough women sponsors in our group, he would be like, do you want to sponsor with me? Because I was more the cheerleader and he's the smart guy. So, and that's pretty much what I could do,
I think you're a great combo of the two, Monica.
Yeah. Well done.
I don't know. I try to just give hope, because that's all I wanted. I just wanted hope, and I needed it, But I think you've done a great job with Rita and with everybody else you sponsor. And I truly do look up for you as a big old superstar. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. Hey, is it true you're supposed to give away like your coin, correct?
You can, what? It's really nice to pass along something that was preyed upon to another. It's also okay to keep it as a token of memorabilia. It is really up to the individual.
I'm going to keep mine for going forward.
If mine was real gold, I would keep it.
I'll give my shit away.
Yeah.
It was gold? Is that what you said?
If it was real gold, I would keep it.
Done with diamond.
Need to change some rules. You know what I mean.
It's so funny. Well, guys, I hope you have an awesome dinner. Is there anything else you guys want to share before
give the
let
best
you guys go?
What's your best advice to the newcomer?
Yeah, yes. That was a boom question last night.
Yeah.
I have two pieces that were given to me. Say what you mean what you say, and don't say it mean.
Mm-hmm. Write that down.
And become accountable. I learned that in my first meeting. I was told to plan where my next meeting was and tell somebody else where I was going to be the next day. So I learned about accountability. So I learned about how to be, I didn't know I was learning about how to be impeccable with my words. I didn't know what that meant, but I was taught that early on. And accountability, I wasn't sure how that would work, but I was taught that early on. And I think those are two really important things to pass on.
They're really good, true. What about you, John?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for what you're doing, and you're bringing awareness out there in the world that very much needs it more than ever. I mean, right now we have, billion-dollar conglomerates, corporations that everywhere you turn, they're promoting gambling. And I truly believe they're corrupting a generation. And we need more platforms like this that can get the awareness out. They say it's a program of attraction, not promotion. But we have to say it loud and say it proud, because there's a lot stacked against us, to use that term. So what you're doing is just making a huge difference. It's just, one body of recovery at a time. And, I tell the newcomer, just, stay accountable, but, put yourself out there, to reach out, talk to somebody that has walked the steps before you, that can show you and get you through the rough patches, because you're going to have them. The first 30 days, my sponsor saved my life more than once. So
Wow.
it's, but the awareness is so important. We have to fight back against what's going on out there these days.
Awesome. Good work.
Well, and hey, JoJo, Monica sent me these to keep people away for at least a
That
year.
girl,
Maybe two.
she couldn't see a red flag if it was in front of her face. So I sent
So
her
she
a
sent
whole
me.
box full.
I love that.
I love that.
We're going
Make
to
sure you
sell
get one.
them in our merch.
We're gonna put our logo on it, and we're gonna
We're
sell
them.
our first merch.
Do you have a
You guys
friend?
will get one each.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
I think they know red flags.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. We really enjoyed it. It's good to see you.
Thanks for that.
Love you so
Hey,
much.
guys. Love you guys. Have fun tonight.
Thank
All
you.
right.
What's up, guys? It's Rita Boom here, just telling you, if you enjoyed this podcast, get on there and leave some comments, all right? Whether you liked it, you didn't like it, if it's good enough of a comment, we're going to read it online. Know why? Because it helps our algorithm. That way we don't have to charge anybody anything crazy like that. So, again, leave the comments, we'll read them online, and boom, boom, boom. Don't place a bet today, okay? All right.